Have you ever had one of those days where everything feels out of control? Like, no matter how hard you try, the stress just keeps piling up? And what if, just what if, the secret to staying calm, confident, and focused isn't about fixing the chaos, but learning to ignore most of it? That's the power of Stoicism, a 2.000-year-old mindset that helps you reclaim your peace, not by changing the world, but by changing what you choose to care about. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you've ever felt like life is too much sometimes, too loud, too fast, too unpredictable, this episode is for you. Because today, we're going to explore 12 Stoic secrets that can completely change the way you show up in your work, your goals, and your daily life. Now, don't worry, this isn't a boring history lesson. We're not putting on togas or quoting Latin. What we are going to do is look at how this ancient philosophy gives you real-world tools to handle pressure, bounce back from failure, and feel more in control of your life, starting today. Stoicism is all about one thing: focus. Not hustle, not obsession, not perfection, just learning how to focus on what's actually within your control, and letting go of everything else. Sounds simple, right? Well, that's the catch. It is simple, but not easy. See, most of us are trained from an early age to worry about things we can't control. We obsess over whether people like us. We stress about outcomes we can't predict. We lose sleep over problems that don't belong to us. And it's exhausting. That's where Stoicism steps in like a calm voice in a noisy room. It doesn't tell you to ignore your responsibilities. It tells you to put your energy where it matters most: your thoughts, your actions, your mindset. Everything else? That's just noise. And here's the best part. You don't have to become a monk or live in a cave to use this philosophy. You can apply it right now. Today, in your work, in your conversations, in how you handle setbacks and pressure. In this video, we're going to break down 12 practical principles, straight from the Stoics themselves. These aren't just abstract ideas. These are real-life strategies you can start using to feel less overwhelmed, more empowered, and way more focused. We'll show you how to deal with criticism without losing your cool, how to handle failure like a champ, and how to stay grounded when life tries to knock you off balance. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a student, a parent, or just someone trying to do better, these lessons work. So, if you're tired of the noise, of chasing things you can't control, of measuring your worth by things that don't matter, take a breath. Let's clear the clutter from your mind. And let's start with one of the most powerful mindset shifts the Stoics ever taught. You've probably felt anxious at times, right? That feeling like everything around you is beyond control. The dark clouds in your mind prevent you from seeing the path ahead. You might be worried about what others think, about things out of your reach, or the results that are beyond your control. But is it really necessary to spend time and energy on these things? The answer is no, because in this life, there is one important thing that we often forget. True power lies in controlling yourself. When it comes to Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that has been passed down for thousands of years, one of the most important principles is focus only on what you can control. It's a simple yet powerful thought that helps us see life in a very different light. Epictetus, one of the famous Stoic philosophers, once said, "There are things we can control, and things we cannot." That is the essence of living calmly in the face of adversity. If you worry about things beyond your control, you'll get swept away in the whirlwind of stress, exhaustion, and helplessness. But if you spend your time and energy on the things you can change, such as your thoughts, actions, and attitudes, you will find strength and peace even in the most difficult situations. Imagine waking up on a morning and starting your day with a clear mind. You can choose to think positively, face challenges calmly, rather than letting worries dictate your life. In fact, we always have control over our thoughts. While you may not be able to control the situation around you, you can absolutely control how you respond to it. Remember, life is not always smooth sailing, and sometimes what seems like an insurmountable obstacle is actually an opportunity to practice controlling yourself. A practical way to apply this principle in your daily life is to make a list of things you can control and things you cannot. For example, you can't control the weather, what others think of you, or the outcome of a job interview. But you can control your attitude when facing those things, how you prepare for the interview, or how you take care of your health every day. You can focus on improving the factors that are within your power. and accept the things that are not. This doesn't mean giving up hope or not trying, but it means learning not to get stuck on things outside of your control. When you learn to do this, you'll find life much lighter, and the big and small problems will no longer drain your energy. And here's another thing. When you face difficulties, instead of seeing them as obstacles, try changing your perspective. Instead of feeling powerless, think of every challenge as an opportunity to learn and grow. Remember, peace comes from not letting external factors strongly affect your mood. You can control how you react to the world around you, and that's true strength. So how can we start practicing this in our lives? One simple step is to make it a habit to write down the things you can control and the things you can't. When you look at that list, you'll see clearly that most of life is not something you can directly impact, but rather the things you can change. And whenever you feel pressured, anxious, or unsettled, just remember that you can control yourself. That's the only thing that truly matters. So, let your mind relax, focus on the things you can change, and accept the things you can't. This is one of the great secrets to inner peace. When you practice this principle every day, you'll find yourself stronger, more patient, and freer in your own life. With this awareness, you'll begin to understand another Stoic principle. True peace is not found outside of yourself, but in the way you face and handle everything within your own soul. And this is also part of the Stoic journey we'll continue exploring together right after this. Have you ever given your all to something, only to feel disappointed when the results didn't match your expectations? Maybe it was a project at work, a big exam, or even a relationship where you put in your heart and soul. Yet the outcome wasn't what you hoped for. It's frustrating, right? But here's something worth considering. What if the real success doesn't lie in the outcome at all, but in how much effort you put into the process? What if the key is to focus on doing your best, while letting go of the need to control the results? This is a core principle in Stoic philosophy, to put your full effort into whatever you do, but to detach yourself from the outcome. After all, the result is often influenced by many factors beyond our control. It might be determined by timing, circumstances, or the actions of others. But what we can control, what is entirely in our hands, is how much effort we put into the work itself. Think about it. When we focus too much on the outcome, it's easy to get trapped in anxiety, pressure, and self-doubt. We worry if we'll succeed, if we'll be good enough, or if others will approve. This stress can cloud our judgment and even prevent us from performing at our best. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, put it perfectly when he said, "You can control your mind, but not your circumstances." In other words, we cannot control what happens around us, but we do have power over how we respond to it. By channeling all our energy into what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and efforts, we free ourselves from the pressure of expecting a certain outcome. Now, what does this look like in practice? One way to start is by shifting your focus from the result to the process itself. Set goals based on what you can do, not what you want to happen. For example, if you're preparing for a big presentation, instead of obsessing over how the audience will react, focus on how well you've prepared, how much effort you've put into refining your message, and how you're improving your delivery. Success in this sense isn't defined by whether you get a standing ovation, but by how much you commit to doing your very best. Take a moment to think about your own life. How often do you find yourself obsessing over the end result, only to end up frustrated when things don't turn out as planned? What if you could release that attachment to the outcome and simply enjoy the process of giving your best? Imagine how much lighter and more fulfilling that would feel. It would be like taking a deep breath of fresh air, letting go of the weight of expectations and allowing yourself to be free to just do your best. This approach doesn't mean that you shouldn't care about the results. Of course, we all want to succeed, achieve our goals, and see the fruits of our labor. But when we put all our energy into controlling the uncontrollable, the outcome, we set ourselves up for unnecessary disappointment and stress. The Stoic way is about letting go of the attachment to the result while still giving our all to the task at hand. It's about knowing that the value is in the effort, not just the outcome. And what happens when you fail? As we all inevitably do from time to time? In Stoicism, failure isn't something to be feared or avoided. It's part of the journey. Every mistake, every setback, is a lesson that brings us closer to wisdom and growth. So, instead of beating yourself up when things don't go as planned, embrace failure as a natural part of life. Acknowledge the effort you put in, learn from the experience, and use it to fuel your next attempt. As you practice this mindset, you'll notice a profound shift. You'll stop measuring your worth by the results, and instead, you'll find fulfillment in the simple act of showing up and doing your best. You'll stop fearing failure because you'll see it as just another stepping stone toward growth. And most importantly, you'll be free from the suffocating pressure that often comes with chasing after outcomes that are beyond your control. So, let go of the need to control everything. Focus on doing the work, showing up with your best effort, and embracing the journey, regardless of where it leads. Because, in the end, the true reward is not in the destination, it's in the way you engage with the process itself. And as we dive deeper into the next principle of Stoicism, we'll explore how to find peace and satisfaction not in the world around us, but in how we choose to respond to it. We've all been there, that sinking feeling when things don't go as planned. You put in the effort, you tried your best, but somehow, you still came up short. Maybe you failed an important test, lost an opportunity, or didn't get the job you were hoping for. It's easy to feel defeated in those moments, like the world has come crashing down. But what if failure wasn't the end? What if it was just the beginning of something even better? In Stoicism, we're taught to view failure not as a final destination, but as a stepping stone to growth. Failure isn't something to be feared or avoided, it's an essential part of the process of becoming better, stronger, and wiser. Every time we fail, we have the chance to learn something new about ourselves. We see our weaknesses, understand where we need to improve, and gain the insight needed to do better next time. The key is to turn that failure into a lesson that moves us forward instead of holding us back. Let's take a moment to reflect. Think about the last time you failed at something. Maybe it was something big, like not getting that promotion you worked so hard for. Or maybe it was something small, like missing a deadline. Whatever it was, did it stop you in your tracks? Or did it give you an opportunity to pause, reflect, and learn? The truth is, it's all about perspective. Failure isn't a sign that you're not good enough, it's simply a sign that you have something to learn. And once you realize that, the sting of failure starts to fade, replaced by a determination to improve. For example, think about a job interview that didn't go the way you hoped. Instead of getting discouraged and thinking, "I'm just not cut out for this," take a step back. What went wrong? Did you not prepare enough? Were there questions you weren't ready for? Maybe you stumbled in your responses. Or maybe you didn't connect with the interviewer the way you hoped. These are all valuable lessons. And if you learn from them, the next interview you walk into will be one where you feel more prepared, more confident, and more in control. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, reminds us that the obstacle is the way. What he meant by this is that the challenges and failures we face aren't just random misfortunes. They're the very things that push us to grow. Every setback is a lesson in disguise, a chance to strengthen our resolve and improve our skills. So, instead of seeing failure as a dead end, see it as an opportunity, a chance to take what went wrong and turn it into something better. Another example. Maybe you didn't get the promotion you were hoping for. Instead of feeling defeated, ask yourself, what can I do to be better next time? Are there skills I need to work on? Is there something I could do differently in my approach? This mindset shifts your focus from the disappointment of the moment to the possibilities for the future. Failure becomes a launchpad for growth, not a place to stay stuck. It's important to note that failure doesn't mean you're not capable. It just means you have room to grow. We all have weaknesses, and we all have areas where we can improve. The most successful people in the world didn't get there by avoiding failure. They got there by embracing it, learning from it, and using it to fuel their growth. Every failure is an opportunity to come back stronger, smarter, and more resilient. So, the next time you experience failure, don't let it define you. Don't let it convince you that you're not enough. Instead, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this as a stepping stone to become better? The answer isn't always obvious right away, but with time, reflection, and a willingness to improve, you'll see that failure isn't the end. It's simply the beginning of a new and better chapter. Now, as we dive deeper into the Stoic mindset, we'll explore how we can apply this principle to everything in life, not just our personal failures, but how we approach every challenge that comes our way. After all, life isn't about avoiding failure, it's about learning how to rise each time we fall. And that's where the real growth happens. Have you ever had a moment where something triggered you, and before you knew it, you reacted impulsively? Maybe someone cut you off in traffic, or a colleague made a critical remark, and suddenly, you felt anger rising inside you. It's as if your emotions just took the wheel, and before you could even think, you were already responding. It's a natural instinct. We all have emotional reactions. But what if, instead of reacting in the heat of the moment, you could pause, think, and choose your response more wisely? What if the real power lay not in what happens to us, but in how we respond? In Stoicism, one of the key teachings is that while we can't always control the events that happen to us, we always have control over how we respond to them. This principle is central to building inner strength. The idea is simple but profound. By being intentional about how we react to situations, we cultivate a sense of calm, clarity, and power that comes from within. This is where true strength lies, not in the external world, but in our ability to manage our internal world. Think about it. Every time something triggers you, you have a choice. You can either let your emotions dictate your actions, or you can take a moment to reflect and choose your response. It's like pressing pause before hitting play. Instead of reacting impulsively, you step back, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, does this situation lie within my control? If it does, then focus on what action you can take. If it doesn't, then choose to let it go. By doing this, you break the cycle of emotional reactivity and gain control over your inner peace. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the essence of emotional mastery, understanding that you can't control the world around you, but you can control your reaction to it. And this control is not about suppressing your emotions or pretending to be unaffected. It's about being aware of your feelings and choosing the best way to respond to them, rather than letting them take control of you. One simple practice that can help you develop this ability is to pause before reacting. When something happens that triggers you, whether it's an argument, a stressful situation, or even a minor inconvenience, take a moment to stop and breathe. Ask yourself, is this something I can control? If the answer is no, then release the need to control it. There's no point in getting worked up over something that's beyond your influence. If the answer is yes, then focus on how you can respond calmly and constructively. For instance, let's say you receive negative feedback at work. The immediate emotional reaction might be to feel defensive or upset. But instead of letting that initial emotion control you, take a moment to pause. Reflect. Is this feedback something I can control? If the answer is yes, you can take steps to improve and learn from the situation. If the answer is no, then recognize that getting upset won't change the feedback. You can choose to accept it and move forward with a positive mindset. This practice of intentional response can be applied in many areas of life. Whether you're dealing with difficult people, facing challenges at work, or navigating personal struggles, you can choose how to respond. It's about shifting from reactive behavior to proactive thinking. When you take a step back and consider your options, you empower yourself to respond in a way that reflects your values, rather than simply reacting from emotion. By practicing this Stoic approach, you build emotional resilience. You develop the ability to stay calm and clear-headed, even in the face of adversity. And as you continue to practice, you'll find that you're less affected by things that once would have thrown you off balance. This doesn't mean you won't feel emotions. It simply means that your emotions no longer control your actions. You are in charge of your response, and that gives you a deep sense of inner strength. So, next time you find yourself reacting impulsively to a situation, remember, you have the power to choose your response. Take a moment to pause. Ask yourself whether the situation is within your control, and shift your perspective. By doing this, you'll create a sense of peace within yourself, regardless of what's happening around you. And as we continue to explore the Stoic path, the next principle we'll dive into is how to embrace challenges and turn them into opportunities for growth. Seeing every obstacle as a chance to build strength and wisdom. Have you ever met someone who thought they knew it all? Maybe they were so confident in their abilities or knowledge that they refused to listen to others or accept feedback. At first, it may seem like they have it all together, but over time, you start to notice the cracks. They miss opportunities for growth because they're too attached to their own ego. The truth is, no matter how much we think we know, there's always something new to learn. And the key to unlocking that growth? Humility. In Stoicism, one of the most powerful lessons is the value of living with humility. Humility isn't about downplaying your strengths or pretending to be less than you are. It's about recognizing that there's always room for improvement. When we're humble, we stay open to learning, to evolving, and to receiving feedback. It's this constant pursuit of growth that keeps us moving forward, no matter where we are in life. Ego, on the other hand, is the enemy of progress. When we let our ego take over, we become closed off. We stop listening to others because we think we already have all the answers. We become resistant to feedback, thinking that it's an attack on our competence. This can lead to missed opportunities, bad decisions, and even failure. The ego tricks us into believing that we're infallible, when in reality, we're all still learning and growing. Epictetus, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, said it perfectly. No one learns what they think they already know. How powerful is that? It's a reminder that we are never done learning. The moment we stop being open to new ideas or feedback, we stop growing. Humility, then, is not just a virtue, it's a necessity for progress. Let's break this down with a real-life example. Imagine you're working on a project at work, and you're feeling pretty confident about your approach. But then, a colleague offers a suggestion on how to improve it. If your ego is in control, you might brush off their advice, thinking, "I've got this." But if you're humble, you'll listen. You'll acknowledge that there's always room to improve, and that their feedback might just be the missing piece you need to make your work even better. Humility isn't just about accepting advice from others. It's also about recognizing that we don't have all the answers ourselves. We might be great at some things, but there's always something new to learn. The best way to practice humility is to actively listen. When someone gives you feedback, instead of getting defensive or brushing it off, take a moment to consider it. Ask yourself, is there something I can learn from this? Even if you don't agree with everything, there's often a kernel of truth in any criticism. When you embrace the idea that there's always more to learn, you open the door to endless opportunities for growth. Another way to cultivate humility is to accept that we don't know everything, and that's okay. In fact, it's more than okay, it's necessary. The more we accept our limitations, the more we make space for learning and improvement. The moment we think we know it all, we stop progressing. So, instead of closing yourself off from new information or perspectives, stay curious, ask questions, seek feedback, and embrace the idea that there's always room for growth. Living with humility also means being comfortable with the idea of failure. When we let go of our ego, we stop viewing failure as a reflection of our worth. Instead, we see it as a learning opportunity. If you make a mistake, don't let it fuel your pride or make you defensive. Instead, accept it, learn from it, and move forward. Every failure is a chance to improve. And the more you embrace that mindset, the more resilient and capable you become. So, how can you start practicing humility in your own life? Begin by listening more than you speak. Accept that you don't have all the answers, and be open to feedback. Challenge yourself to learn something new every day, whether it's from a book, a conversation, or an experience. When you live with humility, you create an environment where growth becomes not just possible, but inevitable. As we continue exploring Stoic principles, we'll see how living with humility not only makes us better people but also opens us up to deeper relationships, greater success, and a more fulfilling life. And next, we'll look at how we can practice self-discipline to build strength from within and achieve even greater progress. Have you ever found yourself constantly seeking validation from others? Whether it's through social media likes, praise from your boss, or approval from friends and family, it can be all too easy to base your sense of worth on how others perceive you. But what if I told you that this constant pursuit of recognition is actually holding you back from true freedom? What if the key to living a fulfilling life is to stop worrying about how others see you and start focusing on what you can control, your actions? This is a core teaching of Stoicism, to focus on your own actions, rather than the judgments of others. The truth is, we can't control what other people think about us. No matter how hard we try, there will always be someone who doesn't approve, doesn't understand, or simply doesn't care. So why spend so much energy trying to gain their approval when the real power lies in how you act and the values you live by? Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wisely said, "We love ourselves more than other people, but we value their opinions more than our own." How powerful is that statement? It's a reminder that we often place more importance on how others perceive us than on how we see ourselves. When we do this, we lose our sense of self and our personal freedom. Instead of living according to our own values and principles, we become trapped in a cycle of seeking approval and validation from others. We become slaves to their opinions, letting them dictate our actions and our emotions. But here's the Stoic truth. You have no control over what others think. The only thing you can control is your own behavior and the values you choose to live by. When you focus on living according to your own principles, rather than seeking approval from others, you regain your personal freedom. You become free from the need for constant validation, and you create a life that is authentic, fulfilling, and driven by what truly matters to you. Let's consider a real-life example. Imagine you're working on a project and you pour your heart and soul into it. You put in the time, effort, and creativity to make it the best it can be. But when it's finished, instead of feeling proud of your work, you start wondering, what will my boss think of this? Will my colleagues like it? What if they criticize me? These thoughts can easily lead to anxiety, doubt, and frustration. But here's the question. What is more important, how others view your work? Or the fact that you gave it your all and aligned it with your personal values? When you focus on the action itself, rather than the judgment of others, you release that pressure and take pride in the effort you put in. Regardless of the outcome, of course, this doesn't mean that we should ignore feedback or constructive criticism. Feedback is valuable, and it can help us grow. But there's a big difference between embracing helpful criticism and becoming obsessed with approval. The key is to learn how to filter out the noise, take in what is useful, and let go of what is not. Don't let the opinions of others dictate your worth or your actions. Your worth is determined by the integrity of your actions and the values you choose to live by, not by how others perceive you. A great way to practice this is to focus on what you can control, your actions, your thoughts, and your intentions. Ask yourself, am I living in alignment with my values? If the answer is yes, then that's all that matters. The opinions of others, while sometimes useful, are ultimately secondary to the way you live your life. So, how can you begin to implement this in your own life? Start by paying attention to how much of your energy goes towards seeking validation from others. Are you making decisions based on what others will think? Are you holding back from doing something you believe in because you're afraid of being judged? Instead, choose to focus on living by your own values. When you do this, you'll start to feel a sense of freedom and peace that comes from within, not from external approval. Living this way isn't always easy, especially in a world that often values external recognition. But when you stop focusing on the judgments of others, you'll find that you have more energy, more confidence, and a greater sense of purpose. You'll be able to make decisions that reflect who you truly are, not who you think others want you to be. As we continue our exploration of Stoic principles, we'll look at how living in alignment with our values can lead to even greater fulfillment, success, and personal growth. By focusing on the actions you can control and letting go of the need for validation, you'll start to live a life that is truly your own. And that's where the real magic happens. Have you ever tried to hold on to something in your life, whether it's a relationship, a job, or even a phase of your personal growth, only to feel it slipping away? Maybe it's a feeling of loss or a fear of the unknown that keeps you clinging to what you know. But here's the truth. Change is the only constant in life. It's inevitable, it's natural, and the more we resist it, the more we end up suffering. What if, instead of fighting change, we learn to embrace it? In Stoicism, one of the most powerful teachings is the idea that change is an essential part of life. The Stoics believed that everything in the universe is in a constant state of flux. Our lives are a series of transitions, nothing stays the same. And that's okay. In fact, it's more than okay, it's necessary. Growth, progress, and maturity all come from change. To resist it is to resist life itself. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, put it this way: the universe is change. Life is what you make of it. This quote perfectly captures the Stoic mindset when it comes to change. Life is not something that just happens to us, it's something we shape. But we can only shape it if we accept the changes that come our way. Change is not an enemy to be defeated, it is a force to be embraced. When we fight change, we only make ourselves miserable. When we accept it, we open the door to new opportunities, new lessons, and new growth. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you found yourself resisting change, only to feel stuck and frustrated? Maybe it was a change at work, a move to a new city, or even a personal transformation you weren't ready for. The more you fought it, the more stress you experienced. But when you finally accepted the change, when you let go of your attachment to how things used to be, you probably noticed something incredible. Things started to shift. You began to adapt. You grew. And what once seemed like a challenge became an opportunity. This is the essence of the Stoic approach to change. Instead of resisting it, learn to flow with it. The more you fight, the more you suffer. The more you embrace, the more you learn. Every change in your life, no matter how difficult it may seem at first, is a chance for you to evolve, to become more resilient, and to build a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. Let's consider a real-world example. Imagine you're faced with a career change. Perhaps your job is being phased out, or you're moving to a new role that's completely different from what you're used to. At first, it's normal to feel anxious. Change is uncomfortable, but instead of focusing on what's being lost, try to focus on what's being gained. What new skills can you develop? What new opportunities could this bring? By focusing on the positives of the change and the potential it holds, you shift your perspective from fear to excitement. Another way to embrace change is to stop clinging to the past. It's natural to look back with nostalgia, but when we cling to the past, we prevent ourselves from fully experiencing the present and preparing for the future. There's a reason the Stoics encouraged us to live in the present moment. By holding on to memories of what was, we deny ourselves the freedom to adapt to what is and what could be. Instead, make peace with the fact that the past is gone and can't be changed. The only thing you can control is how you move forward. This practice of accepting change as natural can be incredibly freeing. It's like taking a deep breath and letting go of the weight you've been carrying. When you stop resisting the flow of life, you become more flexible, more open to new experiences, and more able to handle whatever comes your way. Change, rather than being a source of fear or discomfort, becomes an opportunity for transformation. So, how can you begin to embrace change in your life? Start by recognizing that change is inevitable. Don't waste your energy fighting it. Instead, ask yourself, what can I learn from this change? How can I use this moment to grow? Change may not always be easy, but it's always a chance to become better, stronger, and more capable. As we continue to explore Stoic wisdom, we'll see how accepting change is just one of the many ways to build a life of peace, resilience, and fulfillment. Because in the end, the more we let go of our resistance to change, the more we open ourselves up to the endless possibilities that life has to offer. And that's where true freedom lies. Have you ever faced a situation where everything seemed to be going wrong? Maybe a project at work fell apart, or personal struggles left you feeling overwhelmed. In those moments, it can be tempting to throw in the towel and give up. But what if I told you that these very challenges, these obstacles, are the things that can ultimately make you stronger? What if the hardest moments of your life were actually the greatest opportunities for growth? In Stoicism, one of the most profound lessons is that adversity is not something to avoid, but something to embrace. Challenges and hardships are the things that forge our inner strength and build our character. It's through facing difficulties head-on that we develop resilience, determination, and wisdom. The Stoics believed that obstacles are not roadblocks, but stepping stones on the path to greater self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, said, "The obstacle is the way." This simple but powerful statement encapsulates the Stoic view of adversity. Rather than seeing obstacles as things to fear or avoid, the Stoics saw them as essential parts of the journey. Every challenge is an opportunity to practice our virtues, whether it's patience, courage, or perseverance. The obstacles we face are not there to stop us. They are there to show us the way forward. Think about it. Every time you face a challenge, you have a choice. You can either give in to frustration, self-pity, and defeat, or you can choose to rise to the occasion. The key is not to run from adversity, but to lean into it. It's in these moments of struggle that we learn the most about ourselves. We discover our true limits, and we find out what we're truly capable of. Every time we push through difficulty, we build our mental toughness and emotional resilience. And as we do this, we become stronger, more confident, and better prepared for whatever comes next. Let's consider a real-world example. Imagine you're training for a marathon. At first, everything seems manageable, but as the miles add up, your body starts to tire, and doubts begin to creep in. Your mind starts telling you, "This is too hard, I can't do it." But instead of giving in to those thoughts, you push through, you keep running, one step at a time, even when your body is screaming at you to stop. And in that moment, you're not just building physical endurance, you're also strengthening your willpower and mental fortitude. It's through this challenge that you become stronger, not just in your body, but in your mind. The same principle applies to every obstacle in life. Whether it's a difficult work situation, a personal setback, or a failure, you can choose to view it as a test of your character. When things don't go as planned, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow through this experience? Every failure, every mistake, is a lesson in disguise. It's an opportunity to refine your skills, improve your mindset, and become more resilient. One powerful Stoic practice is to consciously seek out challenges as a way to grow. Rather than waiting for adversity to come to you, look for opportunities to challenge yourself. Push yourself out of your comfort zone, and don't shy away from situations that might be difficult or uncomfortable. When you embrace challenges instead of avoiding them, you begin to build a stronger, more resilient character, and over time, you'll find that you're better able to handle whatever life throws your way. So, how can you start applying this in your life? The next time you face a challenge, instead of feeling defeated or overwhelmed, try to shift your perspective. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What skills can I develop? How can this adversity help me grow? Embrace the discomfort, knowing that it's helping you become a stronger, wiser person. Remember, the obstacles are not there to stop you. They are the very things that will help you move forward. As we continue exploring Stoic principles, we'll dive deeper into how adversity, when faced with the right mindset, becomes one of the most powerful tools for personal growth. Because, in the end, it's not the easy moments that shape us, it's the difficult ones. And by facing those challenges with strength and wisdom, we unlock our true potential. Have you ever experienced a time when life felt overwhelmingly difficult, when everything seemed to be falling apart, and it was hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel? It's easy to get caught up in the negativity of tough situations. But what if I told you that even in the darkest times, there's always something to be thankful for? What if gratitude could be the key to maintaining a positive mindset, even when things are tough? In Stoic philosophy, one of the most powerful practices is gratitude, especially in the face of adversity. It's easy to feel grateful when things are going well, but the real challenge is finding gratitude when life isn't so kind. However, this is exactly when gratitude becomes most important. Gratitude isn't just about appreciating the good times, it's about recognizing and honoring what's still good in your life, even when everything else seems to be falling apart. And this shift in perspective can transform your experience of hardship. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "The wise man is not one who regrets what he does not have, but who appreciates what he has." This simple yet profound statement holds the key to a powerful practice. Instead of focusing on what's wrong or what's missing, shift your attention to what is still good. Even in difficult circumstances, there are always things to be grateful for. Whether it's your health, your relationships, or even the simple fact that you woke up this morning. These small blessings are often the foundation for resilience and peace. Let's break this down with a real-world example. Imagine you've just gone through a rough patch at work. Maybe you didn't get the promotion you hoped for, or a project you worked on didn't turn out as expected. It's easy to focus on the disappointment and frustration. But let's try a different approach. Take a moment to reflect on what you're grateful for. Perhaps it's the opportunity to keep growing, the support of colleagues, or the lessons you've learned along the way. When you start looking for the silver linings, you'll begin to notice that even in the midst of struggle, there are still things to be thankful for. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring the reality of your situation or pretending everything is perfect. It simply means acknowledging the good that exists, even in the midst of hardship. By focusing on what you still have, rather than what you've lost or what's going wrong, you can maintain a sense of perspective. This practice helps you stay grounded, even when the storms of life are raging around you. One practical way to cultivate gratitude is to keep a daily gratitude journal. Every day, take a few moments to write down at least 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be grand or life-changing moments, even small things like a cup of coffee in the morning, a kind word from a friend, or a moment of peace in a busy day can be a source of gratitude. By making this a daily practice, You train your mind to focus on the positives, even when life gets tough. Over time, you'll begin to notice that your mindset shifts. Instead of being consumed by what's going wrong, you'll start to see the many things that are still going right. Gratitude is not just about counting your blessings, it's about shifting your focus to what remains good. Even when life isn't perfect, and when you practice this regularly, something incredible happens. You start to feel more resilient, more hopeful, and more capable of handling whatever challenges come your way. Gratitude becomes a source of strength, helping you stay centered and positive, even in the face of adversity. So, how can you start practicing gratitude in your own life? Begin by committing to a daily gratitude practice. Write down the things you're thankful for, no matter how big or small. When faced with difficulty, ask yourself, what is still good in my life? What can I be grateful for right now? Even in your toughest moments, remember that gratitude has the power to shift your perspective and bring you peace. As we continue exploring Stoic principles, we'll dive deeper into how gratitude can help you navigate life's challenges with strength and grace. By learning to appreciate what you have, even in difficult times, you can cultivate a mindset of resilience, positivity, and inner peace. And that's where true happiness lies, not in perfect circumstances, but in the ability to find gratitude in every moment. Have you ever found yourself caught up in a whirlwind of thoughts, worrying about what happened yesterday or what might happen tomorrow? Maybe you're thinking about a conversation you had earlier or stressing over an upcoming deadline. When this happens, it's easy to feel disconnected from the present moment. And before you know it, you've missed out on experiencing life as it happens. But what if the key to peace and clarity isn't in controlling everything around you, but in simply being present, in fully engaging with the moment you're living right now? This is the essence of mindfulness, and it's one of the most important principles in Stoicism. Mindfulness, or being fully present in the moment, is the gateway to inner peace. When we live in a state of mindfulness, we stop dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. We free ourselves from the burden of stress and anxiety, and we open ourselves up to the richness of the present moment. This doesn't mean ignoring life's challenges, but rather, learning to engage with life in a way that brings us peace and clarity. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, was deeply aware of the power of the present moment. He wrote, "Focus on the present moment. Let it be enough." In other words, don't get lost in what's already happened or what's yet to come. The only thing you can control is the present. And that's where your attention should be. When we focus on the present, we connect more deeply with ourselves and the world around us. We experience life with clarity, and we're better equipped to handle whatever comes our way. So, how do we practice mindfulness in a world full of distractions? It starts with learning to be fully present in whatever we're doing. No matter how small or mundane the task may seem, think about it. How often do you find yourself distracted while doing something simple? Like eating or washing the dishes? You might be on autopilot, eating your meal while scrolling through your phone, or washing the dishes while your mind is miles away, worrying about the next task. But what if you could truly engage with the present moment during these everyday activities? The practice of mindfulness involves bringing your full attention to whatever you're doing, right here and right now. When you're eating, savor each bite. Notice the flavors, the textures, the warmth of the food. When you're washing the dishes, feel the water on your hands, the movement of the sponge, the rhythm of the task. These simple actions, when done mindfully, can become moments of peace, clarity, and even joy. By practicing mindfulness in everyday activities, you train your mind to be more present in all aspects of your life. It's important to note that mindfulness isn't about forcing yourself to be happy or constantly feeling peaceful. It's about being aware of whatever you're feeling in the moment, whether that's calm, anxiety, frustration, or joy, and accepting those feelings without judgment. The goal is not to change how you feel, but to fully experience the moment as it is, without getting lost in thoughts about the past or future. When you live this way, you start to see that each moment, no matter how small, has value, and this awareness allows you to live with a greater sense of clarity, presence, and peace. One way to deepen your practice of mindfulness is to start small. Set aside a few minutes each day to practice being fully present in whatever you're doing. Whether it's during a walk, a meal, or even a conversation, focus on the sensations you're experiencing, the thoughts you're having, and the emotions you're feeling. Notice when your mind starts to wander and gently bring your focus back to the present moment. The more you practice, the more natural it will become to stay present throughout the day. By making mindfulness a habit, you can begin to experience life in a more meaningful way. You'll be less distracted by worries about the past or future, and you'll find that you're more in tune with your thoughts, feelings, and actions. And as you do this, you'll cultivate a sense of peace that comes from living fully in the moment, rather than constantly being pulled in different directions by the demands of life. As we continue to explore Stoic principles, we'll see how mindfulness plays a crucial role in developing inner peace and resilience. The ability to live in the present moment is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. It's not about escaping the challenges of life, but rather, learning to engage with them in a way that brings clarity, balance, and calm. So, take a moment right now, wherever you are, and just be. Be present, be aware, and let the simplicity of the moment bring you peace. Have you ever felt like you're running out of time, watching others reach their goals while you're still working hard, taking small steps toward your own? The pressure to succeed quickly is all around us. We live in a world that constantly emphasizes instant results, fast success, and quick fixes. But what if I told you that true success doesn't happen overnight? What if the most worthwhile achievements require patience, persistence, and a long-term commitment to growth? In Stoicism, one of the most important virtues is patience. The Stoics understood that true success, the kind that lasts, is built over time, through consistent effort, and by overcoming challenges along the way. It's not about rushing toward a destination, but about valuing the journey itself. Patience. As Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote, "Nothing great is created suddenly. Real achievement takes time, and the process of growth is gradual. Success doesn't come from quick bursts of effort, it comes from a steady, persistent approach over the long haul." Think about it for a moment. How many times have you been tempted to give up or take shortcuts because the progress seemed too slow? Whether you're working on a personal project, pursuing a career goal, or trying to improve yourself, it's easy to become discouraged when things don't happen as fast as you'd like. But the key is to understand that slow progress is still progress. Every small step forward is a step closer to your goal. And over time, those steps add up to something significant. Success isn't a race, it's a journey. And the Stoics remind us that the path to achievement is rarely straight or quick. Instead, it's filled with obstacles, setbacks, and unexpected twists. The key is not to rush through these moments, but to embrace the process. Each challenge, each delay, and each slow day is an opportunity to build resilience, refine your skills, and grow stronger. When you set long-term goals, it's important to adjust your expectations. It's easy to become frustrated when results don't come immediately. But part of the Stoic approach to life is accepting that progress takes time. Instead of focusing on how far you have to go, focus on the steps you're taking right now. Celebrate each small victory, and remember that slow progress is still progress. By adjusting your expectations and learning to appreciate the journey, you'll find that you're more patient, more persistent, and more capable of handling the challenges along the way. Let's take a real-world example. Imagine you're training for a marathon. At first, the training is tough. Your muscles ache, your stamina is low, and you wonder if you'll ever be able to run the full distance. It's easy to feel discouraged in the early stages, but instead of expecting to be able to run the marathon right away, you commit to the process. You focus on gradually building your endurance, improving your technique, and staying consistent with your training. Day by day, you get stronger. And when race day finally arrives, you've built the stamina, both physical and mental, to cross the finish line. If you had given up early or expected immediate results, you would have missed out on the satisfaction of achieving your goal. Patience isn't just about waiting for something to happen, it's about staying committed to the process. Even when the end goal feels far away, it's about trusting that, with time, your effort will pay off. Every step you take, no matter how small, is leading you toward success. And by embracing this slow, steady approach, you'll build the resilience and determination needed to achieve great things over the long term. So, how can you start practicing patience in your own life? Begin by setting long-term goals and adjusting your expectations. Understand that success won't happen overnight, and that's okay. The key is to stay focused on the process. Take consistent action, and celebrate your progress along the way. Instead of feeling frustrated by setbacks, see them as opportunities to grow stronger. And remember, the journey itself is just as important as the destination. As we continue to explore Stoic wisdom, we'll see how patience is not just a passive virtue but an active practice that helps us stay grounded, resilient, and focused on what truly matters. By embracing the long road to success, we unlock the potential for meaningful, lasting achievements, ones that are built on the foundation of patience, persistence, and unwavering commitment. In today's world, everything seems to happen at lightning speed. From instant messages to fast food, we're constantly surrounded by the expectation that things should happen quickly. We want quick results, immediate rewards, and instant gratification. But here's the truth. The most meaningful things in life, whether it's true success, wisdom, or fulfillment, don't come from rushing to the finish line. They come from the long, steady process of consistent effort. And the key to true growth? Letting go of the desire for instant results. In Stoicism, one of the most important lessons is that there are no shortcuts to greatness. There's no easy way to wisdom, success, or fulfillment. Everything of value requires time, patience, and consistent effort. The Stoics understood that true achievement isn't about quick fixes, it's about embracing the journey, enjoying the process, and finding satisfaction in the small steps along the way. As we live in a world that constantly tells us to hurry, Stoicism reminds us that good things take time, and that's okay. Think about it. How often do you find yourself rushing toward a goal, wishing it would come faster, only to feel disappointed when the result isn't immediate? In our fast-paced world, it's easy to become impatient and frustrated. We've been conditioned to expect everything quickly. But when we fall into the trap of wanting instant results, we miss out on the valuable lessons that come from the process itself. The truth is, it's the journey, not the destination, that shapes us. Every small step forward is an opportunity to learn, grow, and build something meaningful. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, famously said, "There is no shortcut to the good life." This quote captures the essence of Stoic wisdom. There are no shortcuts to wisdom, success, or happiness. These things take time, effort, and a willingness to embrace the process. If we keep focusing only on the end result, we miss the richness of the journey and the growth that happens along the way. Let's consider a real-world example. Imagine you're working toward a long-term goal, such as getting fit or learning a new skill. At first, the progress may feel slow. You might not see immediate changes in your body or your abilities, and it's easy to get discouraged. But if you're constantly focused on the end result, you're likely to overlook the small victories along the way. Maybe you've increased your endurance, learned something new, or simply stuck with the process despite challenges. These small steps are where the real value lies. The more you focus on enjoying the process and finding meaning in each step, the more fulfilling the journey becomes. The Stoic approach encourages us to embrace the slow, steady progress that comes from consistent effort. Instead of rushing to the finish line, we learn to appreciate the value of each step we take. We focus on the process, not just the outcome, and by doing so, we find joy and satisfaction in the work itself, rather than in the fleeting satisfaction of immediate results. So, how can you apply this in your own life? Start by shifting your focus away from the desire for instant results and instead, enjoy the process of getting there. Celebrate the small victories, and recognize the value in each step, no matter how small it may seem. Whether you're working on a project, building a new habit, or pursuing a long-term goal, remind yourself that progress takes time, and that's a good thing. The journey is just as important as the destination, and by embracing this mindset, you'll find greater fulfillment and satisfaction in everything you do. As we continue to explore Stoic principles, we'll see how letting go of the need for instant results can lead to deeper, more lasting achievements. By learning to appreciate the process and focusing on steady progress, we unlock the potential for true growth and success. And that's where the real magic happens, when we stop rushing and start enjoying the journey. As we come to the end of our journey through these Stoic principles, one truth becomes clear. Life is not about waiting for the perfect moment or rushing to the finish line. It's about how we engage with each step along the way. Every challenge, every moment of discomfort, and every delay is an opportunity to grow. to build resilience, and to become the person we're meant to be. The Stoics remind us that the path to true fulfillment doesn't come from seeking quick fixes or avoiding hardships. It comes from embracing the journey, no matter how slow or difficult it may seem. It's about developing patience, practicing gratitude, and focusing on what we can control in each moment. The true reward lies not in the outcome, but in the strength, wisdom, and peace we gain through consistent effort and mindful presence. So, I challenge you, the next time you face a setback, don't see it as an obstacle, but as a stepping stone to something greater. When the road feels long, remember that every step is progress. Take the time to reflect, to appreciate the small victories, and to be fully present in the process. Let go of the need for instant results and trust in the value of the journey. As you move forward, remember, true success is not measured by how quickly you reach your goals, but by the person you become in the process. So, take action today, no matter how small, and commit to living with patience, mindfulness, and a deep appreciation for the journey ahead. Because, in the end, it's not the destination that matters most, it's the way you walk the path. And that, my friend, is where the real magic happens.